Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser G. Yes, I know I'm late for this, but unfortunately, I got sick. Got a bad cold during the Thanksgiving season, during the Thanksgiving holidays. Thankfully, thanks to my lovely wife, I'm now good enough so I can go ahead and record my recap of the season finale of Chucky Season 2. Yes. So here we go. It's the season finale of Chucky, and we'll see what Don Mancini and his writing team has in store for us as we come to the conclusion of the second season of Chucky. Now, we get a flashback from the previous episode when we actually learned that Chucky Prime was able to perform the voodoo spell and swap bodies with Dr. Mixer. So it was really Dr. Mixer that Andy killed, not Chucky. Okay, I can get away with that. No problem. Hey, look, Chuck he can be very clever at times, and that was a clever move on his part. Now, Chucky and Dr. Mixer's body heads back to her house where he retrieves a good guy doll hidden in her office, and we can guess what happens next. Yes, he transfers his soul back into the good guy doll, and unfortunately, police find Dr. Mixer dead. Now, we're back in Hackensack where Lexi and Jake are attending group therapy, where we see Lexi talk about her issues, her dependency on drugs, and her relationship with her mother. Now, as a Christmas gift to Jake and Devin, she invites them to spend Christmas with her mother and her sister Caroline at her mother's house. The former mayor, Cap, if I believe that's what she still is now. Meanwhile, as Glenn conditions worsen, Glinda and Tiffany, manage to smuggle in the Glinda doll into her room, killing the security guard in the process. You gotta make a kill somewhere. They eventually perform the voodoo spell to put both Glenn and Glenda's souls back into the doll, and once the doll comes back, it calls themselves Gigi. Now, after a nice reunion with Tiffany, Gigi decides that they want to go to London and discover their roots, so Tiffany ships them in a box to England. So I guess that's kind of it for Glenn and Glenda, and we see the Glenn Glenda doll is back. The original voice from Cena Chucky, Billy Boyd. We see his voice is in there. Kind of was a dead giveaway when we actually saw his name in the credits. So I thought it'd be better if he didn't show his name. We wouldn't know that was going to happen, but it was so predictable anyway. Meanwhile, things aren't going well between Devin and Jake, as both are trying too hard to make each other happy when they hey, let's just happy we're together. We survived another round of Chucky. Meanwhile, Lexi finally apologizes to her mother for her selfish behavior, and Mayor Cross also apologizes to Lexi for not being a good mother to her. And wow, everyone's getting along. Now, this allows Jake and Devin to finally mend their relationship, and it seems everyone seems to be happy. Will we actually get a happy ending? No, because Chucky, he enters the house through a chimney looking to kill the three amigos. I've read that somewhere. Meanwhile, Tiffany also comes into the house looking for Caroline's Belle doll. Now, after confronting Tiffany, Mary Cross is killed violently by Chucky with his silent saw, a la Art the Clown style. Well, I'll leave it at that. But then Lexi kills Chucky with the same saw very violently as well. What? Chucky's dead again? While Tiffany grabbed the Belle doll, stabbed by Jake and Devin, but Caroline intervenes. What? Saying that she isn't Lexi's sister, that Chucky told her that Tiffany is her real mother. Wait a minute, where did that come from? Now, eventually, Tiffany leaves with Caroline, and we're stuck with our mouths on her for trying to still figure out where did that plot twist come from, because there's been no hints at all that Caroline was anything related to Tiffany. We'll talk about that later. So 3 weeks later, Tiffany and Caroline are in Times Square, and Tiffany tries to perform the voodoo spell so she can get back into the Belle doll, but then she gets a call from Nika. I forgot about Nika. So Nika apologizes for shooting Lynn, but she still intends on getting revenge on her for the torture she put her through, and also does an a la Jason Bourne style, saying that she loves her hair, meaning that Nika is also in Times Square with Tiffany and Caroline. Now, I did like that part. Now, becoming more desperate to complete the ritual, Tiffany attempts to transfer her soul back into the Belle doll, but the spell fails. Transfer, transfer, transfer. Come on, transfer, transfer. What the hell's going on with this thing? Why won't it transfer? So what happens is the bell doll rises and we find out it was Chucky in disguise all along and he attacks Tiffany while Caroline smiles. And basically that's how season 2 ends. I mean, we get this nice replay of all the kills Chucky did as he did in season 1 when he went over all the kills. He does the same thing here too. Now, for me, this episode plays out what I didn't like and what I did like about season 2. For one, understanding that a lot of people have a lot of mixed feelings about season 2, and I believe I probably have come to the same conclusion. It's definitely not better than season 1. It seemed like I don't know if Don Mancini and the writers didn't know what type of a narrative they wanted to follow in here. If they wanted to still keep the show serious, they wanted to go back to the Seed of Chucky style of telling the story, which I'm pretty sure most people like myself do not like Seed of Chucky. It's one of the worst one of the worst horror movies. I wouldn't say one of the worst horror movies I've seen, but when it comes to this franchise, it's definitely one of the worst part of the series. As a matter of fact, it's almost down into his downfall if it wasn't for the cult of Chucky. Now, as far as what I did like about the season, I believe Lexi has the best character arc of the season. You know, seeing her trying to escape the events from last season, but she decides to take drugs. I like her relationship with Nadine and finally coming to terms with her behavior. I really like that aspect of the Lexi character. Not saying that Devin and Jake have their own character arcs too, but I think Lexi had the best character arc of the season. And you really have to give Olivia Allen Lynn credit for her performance this season, as she really make Lexi to more than just your typical mean girl trope that you see in these shows. I mean, I like the relationship that she has with Jake and Devin. They have this type of a bond that they have, and that goes into the other aspect of what they went on this season. And like I said, that plays into the family aspect in this season. As I stated before, you know, Jake, Devin, and Lexi, they really bond this season, along with Nadine, seeing that as Chucky killed all their parents, they all have to stick together in order to survive. And then especially after this season, now that Chucky has killed Lexi's mother and what's going on with Caroline, which I'll talk about later, they only have each other. And it's really interesting to see that at the end of the show, we get to see a character we did not see in the first season, and that's their teacher. Yeah, that's their teacher, Miss Fairchild, who all of a sudden now believes in what they were telling the stories about Chucky. So that's going to be an interesting tidbit for season 3. If there is a season 3, there's been no notification that that Sci-Fi USA has renewed Chucky for a season 3, but I think we will get a season 3. I actually enjoyed the Tiffany-centric episode where we get to see Gina Gershon, Joel Palantaya, and Meg Tilly play fictional characters of themselves. And I thought uh, Lecter Watson did a great job in portraying Glenn and Glenda, as I stated before in that episode right there. I actually thought it was a nice centered episode that we normally see in shows like this. Now, what I didn't like this season is the plot convenience devices that they use, especially during the last episode. Now, again, I don't mind the body swap Chucky does at the beginning of this episode because, again, as I stated before, it shows you how clever Chucky can be. One of the things that Charlie Ray does not get credit for is not because of his brutality or his how he kills his people, is because he can be clever at times, and that's one of the aspects you would like of a serial killer, being clever. He's really not known for that, but when at times he does show he can outsmart his victims, that shows you how clever he is. And I thought that was a good aspect of the character that we rarely see from Chucky. What I don't like is when Jake and Devin stab Tiffany in one scene and in the next, she's fine, like nothing has happened to her. What, she's not going to bleed out? You would think that after being stabbed twice, that she should be at least, on her knees or, crying to get somebody to help her. Someone calls the cops, but it's like they stab her, and in the next scene, Devin's busy trying to call the police, and next thing you know, she's like moving okay, like nothing's ever happened to her. Are you going to be serious, or are you going to play this for laughs? That's kind of the different type of tone that you need to decide what you're going to do in this type of show. We didn't see that in season 1, but now we see this turn up a lot in season 2. No, one of the problems a lot of people complain about season 2 is somehow, you have this injury take place, especially with Andy. where we see that he's been being devoured by the Colonel, and his leg is half his leg, I guess, is eaten, and all of a sudden he should be suffering from gangrene. We don't know if the Dr. Mixer had any type of medication to keep him from bleeding to death or having some type of infection. I'm pretty sure we have to use our imagination sometimes, and we're supposed to, go beyond. We have to suspend our belief sometimes, but sometimes it's different between suspending disbeliefs and then just outright, this doesn't make any sense. And that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, there are other things that happened throughout the season, like what happened to all the other students when Father Bryce put the school on lockdown? I mean, we don't see any of them right before they do the exorcism. Where all the students go? They're all supposed to be in their rooms, right? I'm pretty sure that they probably probably was able to do something, but I'm assuming that again, we just have to suspend our disbelief with that too. Now, I'm all for plot twists in TV shows as long as they fit a certain narrative, but having Caroline not be Lexi's sister this late and in the season finale doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. I mean, I would have preferred that she threatened Lexi, Devin, or Jake, or she killed her mother. Would have been a better way to play that plot twist, as we've seen her have some type of homicidal tendencies last season. It would be a better way to try to explain her emotionless state that she has, especially when she's talking to Chucky a lot in the first season, and then we get some aspects later on, or we actually see some of her in the beginning of this season, where now we know that plot twist makes sense. Here, they just seem to just throw this in to see what sticks, and it doesn't really stick. Not that I have no, not that I really, I mean, I really did enjoy Caroline because she was an interesting character, and I was looking forward for her to seeing her again this season. But to have her come in this late, and we get that sort of plot twist in, really doesn't make sense. But the worst of all is the final scene where we discover that the Bell doll was Chucky all along in disguise, which was only used to make sure that we know Chucky really isn't dead. And now, I really don't know where they came up with this. I mean, there are better ways you could have done it that way. I mean, it's just a cop. To me, that's just a serious cop out. It seems like Don Mancini and his writers didn't know how to end the show or end the season, so they just threw that one up there. So they used the plot twist that Caroline's not really Lexi's sister; she's Tiffany's mother, and the fact that all of a sudden the Bell doll was Chucky in disguise. Cop out. Plain cop out. For me, it would have been much better to leave that question answered for season three, and it would have been a better way to end season two on that type of a cliffhanger. We don't know. We know that Chucky's still alive, but where is he? He still has to be alive because we have a Chucky season three. Then we come to find out that he was hiding in plain sight in the Bell doll. Would have been a better way to do it that way. So for me, the final episode was a bit of a downer to me. I expected something better that we've seen before. I mean, I like some of the stuff they tried to do in season two. Like I said, really like Lexi this season. I like Jake and Devin. I like all the other stuff that they did and what they went through. I like their bonding. They're now known as the Three Amigos. So I think I read that somewhere. They're now considered the Three Amigos. It'll be interesting to see what their teacher Miss Fairchild has and what's her connection to Chucky, Charles Lee Ray. Hey, for all we know, he could be she. I mean, because if I remember correctly, I don't know if he actually killed only his father and his mother. I don't know if he had any brothers or sisters, but we'll find out. I'm pretty sure that question will be answered if we get a season three. Yeah, so overall, I like season one better. Season two had a good thing going for a while, but this last episode kind of ruined it for me. Let's just hope that Don Mancini learns from his lessons and decides to stick to a certain tone and not try to go back to Seed of Chucky, because that's what this season felt like to me at times. At times it had that Seed of Chucky feel. It's like they were going for some horror and some stuff that we saw in Seed of Chucky. And again, For people who like Seed of Chucky, I'm pretty sure they will have none of the problems that most people have with this season. And for me, since I did not like Seed of Chucky, I didn't like some of the stuff they pulled here. Yeah, and so there you have it. That is my recap and review of season two. Unfortunately, because of my illness, I couldn't do the live stream that I wanted to do with Jen and Christian and Gory B movie Saturday. So I rescheduled that again for Saturday the 3rd, same time. So definitely look out for that live stream. We'll once again give us our opinions about season two of Chucky. So there you have it. That's my video for today, guys. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, and share because it does help out with that YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I see you in my next video. I'm out.